Yeah. So, Prashant, what we discussed, what is a Docker, why Docker? So, you can watch two videos, two or three videos. You can watch it that Docker. You will understand what is Docker. Okay.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Docker is a container solution. So, Harish will share with you the two, three recordings. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what we discussed in the previous class, guys, we discussed about the from and we discussed about the maintainer. We discussed about the copy, add, run, cmd. Right. So add, run, cmd. Right. These all are the Docker. So files. What is that? These all are the Docker files. Once again, this is stack. This is Java cmd. Okay. Got it. This is that. Started to discuss about. Chicken misunderstanding everything. Yeah. Sample Docker file. Right. So what this is? So this is the sample Docker file. So what is a CMD? So right. What is the CMD? CMD instructions will execute while running the Docker container. So using CMD command, we can run our application in a container. So right. Examples we already discussed. So right. So note. So we can write multiple CMD instructions, but a Docker engine will process only the last CMD instruction. Process will last CMD instruction. So what is question, guys? What is the difference between run and CMD? Guys, what is the difference between what is the difference between run and CMD? What is the difference, guys? Tell me. So what is the difference between run and CMD? So what is run, guys? Run instructions will
It will
execute.
execute from top to bottom, and in the CMD only the last CMD
Hmm,
instruction.
hmm. So run instructions will execute while creating the Docker image. Docker image and so CMD instructions will execute while creating the Docker container. Right. Creating the Docker container. So right, this is the another one is we can write multiple run instructions. Docker engine will process from top to bottom. So we can write multiple run instructions. We can write multiple run instructions. Docker engine will process the top to bottom. The same way we can write multiple CMD instructions, CMD instructions, but Docker engine, but Docker engine will process only last CMD instruction, last CMD instruction. You see, right, guys? So, how many CMD instructions you can here? We wrote three CMD instructions under, so three run instructions. Every run instruction will execute, but while running the Docker container, it will execute only the one CMD, that is the last CMD command will execute. Last CMD command will execute. Note, there is no use of, there is no use of writing, there is no use of writing multiple CMD instructions. CMD instructions. Right, guys? So we already discussed. Yeah. For example, this is the sample Docker file. So this is the a sample Docker file. In that sample Docker file, create a file. So how to create the file, Docker file? Create Docker file. File name should be dtabs Docker file. Okay. VI Docker file. Root Red Hat. Docker engine must be started, right? On yeah, Docker is running. VI. How to write the Docker files, guys? VI Docker file. Okay. So what is that? So what is the Docker file, guys? So for example, this is the this is this is the Docker file from Ubuntu. So from Ubuntu, maintainer hariblujetech.com, run echo hi I am run, echo I am run to run echo command, CMD, three CMD instructions and three run instructions. Let's see how many CMD will execute and how many. So right, yeah, we have copied we have saved the Docker file. This is the Docker file. Okay. Yeah. How to build the Docker? Create a Docker image using the Docker file. Create a Docker image by using the Docker file. So Docker file, copy the above sample Docker file content and keep it in Docker file. So later you can escape shift colon WQ exclamatory, save this file. Then what is that? Create Docker image using Docker file. Image Docker using Docker file. So how to create the Docker image, guys? How to create the Docker image? How to create the Docker image, guys? Second, desktop demos. Yeah. So from the Docker file to we need to build the Docker image by using Docker build command. So what is that, guys? Docker build command. What is that Docker build command? So Docker build Docker build hyphen t image name colon. So the version number. What is the version number? For example, 10.0.1. You can give the version number, right? Or you can give the version number, image name. If you go to here, Docker build hyphen t image name. My first img image name colon image name colon 10.10.0.1. Docker build X options. Docker build hyphen t my first image. Run Docker buildx build hyphen helper. More information. Docker buildx build options. What is this, guys? Mistakenly Docker build icon my first image. Yeah. So it take from where it should take from. It take from the Docker file, right? Yes. You see. So something like failed to solve, failed the past at Ubuntu invalid reference format. So I think we need to change it to Ubuntu or CentOS 9. Let's see. You see, guys, it is creating. So Docker build hyphen t. My first image is the build the image name. So this is also not there. Let's see the Docker CentOS. This is from CentOS. from CentOS 7 Docker build.
Hari, you were on mute.
Yeah. So right, Docker run, only one Docker image we have. So this is the Docker PS, it is running. But you see, right, only we are executing there is no only one CMD, right? That one CMD will execute while running the container. While running the container, that CMD will be executing. Docker PS hyphen A, Docker stop container ID, stop the Docker RM container ID. Okay. Docker PS hyphen A. Nothing is there. Docker images. Right, you created the Docker image. You want to push that Docker image to the Docker Hub account. How you can push the Docker image to the Docker registry, Docker Hub to store the Docker images. Right. So what is that Docker tag image name or tag name? What is that? Docker tag my first image. Which one that is that? Yeah. So my first image and what is my repository name, guys? My repository name is Hare Krishna 857 slash my image new dot latest latest. So right, you created the Docker, then you can log into the Docker. You want to push the Docker login, right? Docker images. So this is the Docker image for pushing it from your local to remote. Right. Docker login. Which code is Because where you are set? Yeah, login is succeeded. So now I can able to sync or whatever my right. This is my Docker Hub repository. I synced with this Docker Hub repository now. So what you need to do, I want to push the code. I want to push the code. How to push the Docker images. Docker images. What is this? I want to push this Docker image. How to push the Docker image? Docker push. Docker push. This is the Docker image. It is pushing to docker.io or Krishna 857. My image new. What is that? My image new. You can check it. And still it is pushing. Hmm. Let's check it in the browser. Refresh it. Yes, sir. Hare Krishna 857. My new image. So just now, so less than a minute ago, it pushed. Less than a minute ago, it pushed. Yes, understood. How you can push the Docker image? How you can create the tag? Now the push the how you can push the Docker image, right? So artifact repository rules are stored the Docker images. What are those guys? Artifactory. So next is guys JFrog. These all are the repository tools. Understood? Yeah. Now you understood how to push the push Docker image. What is the command, guys? Docker push Hare Krishna 857 slash my image 857 dot my image. You guys understood? Yep. So what is the question, guys? The question is, what is the question? So the question is, can we use user defined name for Docker file? Yes. So what is the answer? The answer is yes. We can do it. Yes, we can do it. Yes, understood. So this is nothing but a Docker. How to create the Docker image from the Docker file, and how to create the tag, and how to push the Docker image from your Docker mission. So from your local to artifact. So from your Docker to artifact. So what are the artifacts? Docker Hub, Docker Hub, Nexus repository, right? And JFrog Artifactory. Okay, so these all are the artifactory tools. So what is the next one, guys? So next one is nothing but a entry point. What is that? So next one is the entry point. So what is that, guys? Entry point. It is used to execute the instructions while creating container. So this entry point also will execute the instruction while creating the container. What is the syntax, guys? Syntax is entry point. So entry point echo container created successfully. Container created successfully. Same entry point. You can use entry point echo Java jar target lab 68 dot jar. Target lab 68 dot jar. Right. So this is the entry point, guys. Again, so what is the difference between CMD and the entry point? CMD and so entry point. What is the difference between CMD and entry point? So what is the difference between CMD and entry point, guys? So what is the difference between CMD and the entry point? CMD instructions we can override creating while creating the container. Entry point instructions we cannot override. So how we can override? I will tell you. So entry point instructions we can't override. So that CMD and entry point instructions we can't override. Right, guys? Understood. Docker pull ngins. So next one is work DAR. So work DAR means it is used to specify working directory for the Docker image and the container. What is that, guys? It is used to specify working directory for image and container. So it is used to specify a working directory for the image or a container. So syntax, what is that? So work dir. Work dir is nothing but a cd command. So work dir is nothing but a cd command. It will go to the opt tomcat. So it will go to the opt tomcat env. So what is env, guys? Env is nothing but a So environment variable. So what is that? env is used to set environment variables. env is used to set for environment variables. Example env java /etc software JDK. So for example, so we'll set the environment variables. So next one is expose. What is that, guys? Expose. So what is that, guys? Expose. What is expose? It is used to specify. It is used to specify on number, which port number our Docker container will run. So expose is nothing but a. So what is that, guys? So HTTPD having 80 is the port number. HTTPS. So this is the Apache. Next one, Tomcat. What is that? Tomcat having 8080. So this is Tomcat expose number. So right, SSH. SSH is 22. Right. What is nothing? This is nothing but secure shell is using 22 14. So expose. So expose. So what is the example, guys? Expose 8080. Expose 8080. So right. So VA Docker file. So what is the Docker file, guys? So the Docker file. So for example, this is the Docker file. So what this Docker file is, so from query CentOS 9. This is from the CentOS 9. Install Java and tools, run m update. So install JDK open and m clean up. Create a Tomcat directory to switch to. Run mkdir-p Tomcat. It will create the directory. Work diary. Log into go to that cd to Tomcat. Download and extract the Tomcat. Run wget so right, so this will download and install the then remove it. Then work dir opt tomcat web apps. This needs to be download and expose 8080 tomcat. This is our Docker file, guys. What this is? So this is our Docker file. Okay, VA Docker file. Right. So from query, CentOS 9, install Java, create a directory and switch to directory, download and extract the Tomcat, download your custom WAR file and expose the port, then start the CMD command. So expose CMD W colon. What is that? So how to build the Docker image? Docker build -t Tomcat lab 6a hyphen web. The name of the image is space dot. Okay, so Docker build hyphen t. So it will create the Docker image from the Docker file. Which Docker image? Tomcat lab 6a web. Tomcat lab 6a web. Yes, understood? How you can create the Docker file, CMD, from command, run command, copy command, work dir, expose command, env command, okay, entry point command. That entry point and CMD commands will execute while creating the containers. While creating the containers, that will execute it. Right. Yes, understood? The Docker file.
Yeah, have it.
So what is that, guys? So this is the one. So what is the step one now? This is step one, creating the Docker file. Step two, step one. Step one, create a Docker, create a Docker file. Step two, create a Docker image from, from Docker file. So what is the command, guys? Docker build -t tomcat tomcat lab 6a web doc. Okay. So what is the step three, guys? Step three is nothing but create a tag for the Docker image. Create a tag for the Docker image. Docker tag, Docker tag tomcat lab 6a web Hare Krishna 857 slash tomcat lab 6a web. Okay, this is the Docker image. Step 4, what is the step 4, guys? Push the Docker image to Docker Hub registry. Docker Hub registry. So what is that, guys? Docker push Hare Krishna 857 slash tomcat lab 6a web. Okay, so step 5. What is the step 5, guys? Step 5 is nothing. If you want to run, this Docker image as a container on the container under QA prod environments, right? So what is that? Docker pull Hare Krishna 857 slash tomcat lab 6a web. So what is that, guys? If you want to step 6, image as a container. So this is pulling the image. So step 6, so running the container as running image as container. image as container. What is that? Docker run -d detached mode -p port number 909028080. So this is nothing but a host port. This is nothing but a container port. Okay, container port and the image name and the image name. So this is nothing but a run the image as a container. Verify verify the container state. So container state is running or not. Docker ps-a. So step six. What is the step six, guys? Access access our application. Access our application in browser. Access our application in browser. So how to access, guys? URL http colon double slash your address IP address colon IP address colon 9090 slash lab 6a. So this is the way, guys. So this is the way to so to create the Docker file. From the Docker file, we can build the Docker image. So from the Docker image, you can create the tag. From the tag, you can push the Docker image. So push the Docker image to hub registry. So from that, we can pull it to the dev QA environments. Then run this image as a container. Then verify if the container is running or not. Then access your application. Then access your application. Yes, understood? Then access your application. Error failed. Only solve process. Bin im update. Install Java. Open GitHub. And did not complete successfully. Exit code. Build a file. The Docker image. This is the Docker image, right? is a doc file. Yes, you replace this with docker file. So from CentOS, use DNF to allow erasing and avoid the call minimal context on the stream. Run update -y, install your Java 11, clean opt tomcat. This is okay. WQ. You understand? You can run this. So one is done, second is running. It will take 3K ATM. Wonderful opportunity. Yeah, it is creating, right? Yeah, still it is running 228. Mm. ఇంకెప్పుడు బాగా రేపు yes guys, curl command is running, huh? Exporting the image, huh? Layers. Why it is taking run, done, mkdir done, opt done, wget done, curl. Okay, WebDL top GitHub apps. So here it will download the lab6a.var. So once it is done, so the 7 steps, right? The 7 steps are done, guys. You see, run workdir, run. So right, CMD. So it will run, but that CMD will run while creating the container. CMD will run while creating the container, right? Yeah. This is Docker image creation is done, guys. Docker, Docker images. What is the Docker image, guys? This is the one we created just now. 1.51 GB Docker image, guys. What is the second step, guys? The second step. So Docker build is done. Then Docker tag. We need to create the Docker tag for this Docker image. Okay. Daemon no such Tomcat web lead test. Docker tag. Lead test. No such image like Tomcat. Trauma cata. Trauma cat agreement. Hey, no such image. Tomcat lab 6a.jar. Is that trauma cat? Yeah, it's created. Then push it to Docker Hub. So Docker Hub push comma cat, not a Tomcat. So the push refers to the repository. Tag does not exist. Latest. What is that? Tomcat test. Push refers to the repository docker.io. Hari Krishna. Oh shit, guys. That's yeah, it is pushing guys. So once it is pushed, right, then I will remove here. So the Tom comma cat. Then I will pull that from that Docker hub. Then I can run as a Docker container. Okay. Yes, now you understood. It will be very easy to write. Easy, guys, right? You guys can refer. You can guys can explore what the Docker command, Docker files. So how they are writing the Docker files. Right? It is taking wanted from Hari. Let's see the repositories. Where is the this is not push. Yeah. It is push right. Let's see. is less than a minute ago. Hare Krishna. So I want to pull this Docker image, guys. Once you click it, right, you just push right. So you can use the pull. So before this, Docker images, Docker RMA. Yeah, there is no Docker image that web, right? How you can pull this from here. Uh, Copy Docker tag name latest, and here instead of push, you can pull from the Docker hub. It will pull from the Docker hub. Then you can run as a container. So, for example, this is dev environment, or this is a QA environment, or this is a prod environment. How you can push that image, how you can pull the image, and how you can run the Docker image as a container. Okay, understood? We are pushing the Docker images and pulling the Docker images from the Docker hub. Okay, Docker images. Yeah, it's pulled from the that browser, that registry. Then, so what is the final, guys? So pull is done. Then run as a container. I will run this as a container. Docker run -d is nothing but a, so it will run from the background detached mode. -p is nothing but a, so this is the host port and this is the container port. Because of it will come out from the container, right? So then I will give you the this Docker image latest, right? Yeah, container is created. Docker psi2a. You see, guys? So this is the container ID, this is the image name, and this is the command is the executing and the created 8 minutes ago up and running. And the port 9090 is so what is that, guys? HTTPS IP address 1990 lab 6. Let's see. Let's see. What is this? HTTP colon double slash 192.168 dot. What is the IP address, guys? 192.168.1.120. Colon 9090 slash lab 6 here. Right. So this is our website, guys. So input parameters, age, engage, my mock, assignments, tier, classic, right? So this is my website. How many pages, guys? So this is one page, and this is second page, and this is third page. So my Java website contains three pages. This is the one, second one. So this is the second one, and this is the third one. How many pages I have? I have three pages. I deployed the my container as a my container in the my application as it my application in the container. Guys, got it? Guys, got it? Yes, understood.
Yes,
Sleeping.
sir.
Yeah, thank you guys. We'll continue from Monday. Mostly we'll close Monday or Tuesday. We'll start the Kubernetes on Wednesday, guys. Okay.